John B. for Aero 101. First guest on this podcast on Aerosmith.com, Brad Whitford.
Hey, John.
How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good to see you.
You too, bud.
Haven't seen you in a while. We're going to dive right into it. You're the last member of Aerosmith to join.
That's
correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you see Aerosmith before they saw you?
No. Well, I'll take you back to 1971 when this all happened. In 1970-71, I was going to the Berklee College of Music in Boston and desperately looking for my dream band, which I used to tell people, people say, what do you want to do, And so I'd love to do something like Humble Pie. 2 guitars, and great vocals, powerful, rock thing, big drums, big bass, all that stuff. Crazy, I wound up getting into Aerosmith because it was like almost kind of a carbon copy of what I was looking for. But I finished my second semester at Berklee, and I went to down to Nantucket Island and Cape Cod with some friends, playing a band down there, and we played at the airport lounge about a month or so, and that was a great gig for me. It was really cool. They gave us a house, they paid us, got to play, got to practice all day, got to hang on the beach all afternoon. It was a great gig. Now these guys, some of them I'd never met before, and Dwight Farron, who was the other guitar player, lived in Newport, New Hampshire, and he was friendly and knew these guys in Aerosmith, and they were just kind of, I'd hear stories from those guys about Aerosmith.
But you didn't see them?
Never seen them. I didn't even know who they were, because they were just starting out at that time. And come to pass, we left Nantucket. We started playing a few shows around New England, just whatever we could pick up, and we went up to Lake Sunapee and played up there one weekend. And that's when Joe and Tom came to see this band play that I was in.
What was the band?
It was called Just in Time. And they came in, and that's when I got to meet them at that performance. And we talked a little bit, hung out a little bit, and traded phone numbers and all that. And a week later, Joe called me out of the blue. Hey, you want to hang out? Which we did. We started hanging out and just talking, and he suggested that maybe I might consider coming to play with Aerosmith. And I knew I was told they were good, but still at this point,
So you
I'd never seen
you didn't see them?
I didn't know a thing about it. So I said, well, I might be interested in that, but I don't know anything about you guys.
Now, was Ray in the band at that time?
Ray was in the band at that time. So they were about to play at the Lakeview Ballroom in Mendon, Mass. So I said, I'll drive down, come hang out, and watch you guys play. And which I did, and I got to see them do their thing, and I got sort of a preview of. I sort of saw what was going on with some of the stuff already with Ray and.
Do you remember any of the songs, or?
I remember they did
covers or.
Yeah. There were. I don't believe they did any original songs at that point. They did a great medley of, I don't know how long it was, they did all this stuff from The Who. And it was very impressive. I mean, they were...
And you're a big Who fan?
So, yeah. but they really, I hadn't really seen anybody kind of do it. I mean, it really moved me. I mean, it was like, it was very cool. But I got to hang out a little bit before the show, and I saw, you know, I don't remember what time they were going on, but they were due to go on, and Raymond still wasn't even there yet. And I got the vibe that things weren't great there anyways, you know. That was part of what was going on. He showed up like, you know, 10 minutes late or whatever on his motorcycle, and nobody was real happy about that. They were even hinting at me, when did you come out and play with us? I don't even know what you're gonna do.
So then after that, was that pretty much his last show, or?
And it was a very interesting dynamic, because I think that was pretty much his last show. But upon hearing the news that he wasn't going to be performing with the band anymore, he packed up his bags and left. No, he didn't. He didn't go away. It was the strangest thing. I didn't know how to deal with that. If I'd been in those shoes and the band had said, we don't want, we're going to replace you, I would have said, see you, thanks, I'm gone, see ya. Raymond didn't go anywhere.
He stayed.
He stayed, and we did our first real shows I did with him. We were at the Savage Beast in Vermont.
Let me go back a little bit. So after that show, or after, they told Raymond we're going to go in a different direction, were you just the guy, or did you audition, or?
No, they had just decided Joe had decided, I want to play with this guy.
So no one ever auditioned for Aerosmith after Raymond?
No. I think Joe had something in mind, and when he saw what I did, he went, that's what I had in mind.
Mm.
And he was, there was no, they didn't go looking for anybody else. They just kind of figured I was the guy. Although we lived in Boston, we didn't get
to stay
Boston.
Away from Boston.
Yeah, we didn't really have any way in, and most of the gigs in Boston required to play a certain kind of a set list, which we kind of.
A lot of covers and.
Lots of covers, lots of current top 30, top 40 kind of things that you kind of had to play to get in some of the clubs in Boston. And we were playing more of what we loved. We were playing Rolling Stones and Yardbirds and just kind of real.
Rufus Thomas.
Yeah, that's correct. That song, "Walking the Dog," has been a staple from day one. So we didn't really kind of fit the mold. And so we played a lot of these colleges, high schools, anything that our friend, and I can't think of his name right now, could find us. Eventually, we started to, after we got I think it was after we got our record contract, we started to hit more of the Boston market. And,
you played on BCN, and that must.
We did a live broadcast for them, I think. Was the Paul's Mall was a live broadcast for BCN, which was a very exciting show. Not too long ago, I heard some of that, and it was wow. That was pretty cool.
That's out there.
And we started to play. We started to do like our week runs at Katie's and those kind of gigs.
And then you kind of branched out to Detroit.
Yeah, we, our management said there's only one way to get in the hearts and minds of people. They have to see you in person.
Let's talk about Frank Connolly. He was the first manager.
Yeah.
And Joe mentions him in his book very fondly.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about him? Because not much is talked about him. He
was such a character. he was a big part of the music scene in Boston. He had the Carousel Theater out in Framingham, which was is kind of similar to the Cape Cod Melody Tent and those kind of places. This was like the original one, was right off of, I'm still trying to remember exactly where it was. I went to see Zeppelin there in, I think, '68. But it was Frank Conley's Carousel Theater. And they had everybody. They had Zeppelin there, they had Hendrix there, they had everybody there. And Frank was the big promoter in Boston. He brought the Beatles to the Boston Garden. I believe he brought all the acts, all the big acts at the time into Boston. So he was the guy. He was the kind of go-to guy for music.
So we kind of took you under his wing, being like a baby band back in '72.
I think it was it was kind of a chance meeting. We were rehearsing. The whole thing at the Fenway Theater was just pure chance. We happened to be, Tom and I were at World's, so I was complaining to our friend Billy about not being able to find a place to rehearse. And
Wurlitzer's is a music store.
The music
in Boston.
store, famous music store in Newbury Street, Boston, and it was just strange. Billy sent us, "Hey, you should go over and talk to this guy John O'Toole at the Fenway Theater." It was just crazy, and we were like, well, got nothing to lose, you know. We went over there and talked to John, and he was like, well, you know, we're gonna have to pay for, you know, it's gonna cost us a little bit. I was like, you know. And so I think it was sort of a try it out kind of thing. We came in and they said, well, let's see how it works. Let's see if you
To play there or to
to
rehearse?
rehearse. Yeah.
But
And
they had bands played there too.
They were actively having some shows in there at the time. John O'Toole was managing the theater at that time. I don't know who owned it then. I didn't really know anything about it. I don't think they had a whole lot of acts coming in there, but occasionally they did. But so we went in to rehearse, and John O'Toole just went like, "Whoa, I like this." He was really intrigued with the band. He thought, "Wow, these guys I like this, kind of good." And he was instrumental in. He got in touch with his friend Frank Connolly and invited Frank to come down and you gotta come see these guys. And Frank came in one day while we were rehearsing, and we never even saw him actually. He sat in the back of the theater, turned the lights down. They had a house sound system. They turned that on, put some lights on. And we
So it was just a shadow on the...
Yeah, we played for Frank. We didn't really get to meet him or even see him. He came in and left, and all we got was like, "Oh, he really likes you guys." And I think for Frank, it was like a chance to maybe be closer to in a way that he hadn't been in the music business. He was like, "I could take these guys on, I could manage these guys, and maybe help them develop their career." And he was good about that. You know, he was, "You guys got to rehearse more, and you know." Practice, but he also understood that, you know, we were kind of in dire straits and had no money.
And 22-year-old kids at this point.
Yeah, so he was able to get us more shows. He insisted that I can't have you guys walking around like bums, and he made sure we had at least $100 in our hand every week. Just, you know, and that was, he was pulling that out of his pocket, I guess, just, I don't want you guys looking like bums, you know.
What was like the first big thing he did for you that you can remember, like, oh shit, we have a manager, you know?
Well, he was, I don't know, we got very close with Frank. He really, he took a shine to us big time. He gave us all nicknames. He would take us out, fancy food, take us out to restaurants, and we were his little gang. And but he started to get us better quality gigs, and he eventually introduced us to even bigger management. He introduced us to David Krebs and Steve Lieber in New York, and I think that when we got to that point with Frank was kind of running out of. We were not the easiest guys to deal with, and I think he was kind of running out of. He was a little bit at the end of his rope with certain members of Aerosmith that were.
And those members are still in the band today?
Yeah, I mean, how frank are we going to be on this interview?
It's sure.
Website.
It's why you can do whatever you want.
Well, I have to tell the story because it happened. I saw it. We were playing. Oh gosh, just outside of Boston. I can't remember. It was up in Lynn or somewhere, but Stephen has always been a handful. Always has been. Always will be. He's a tough guy to sometimes work with and be around. Nothing new here. But one night Frank had got to the end of his rope with Stephen, and he grabbed Stephen literally by the throat, and had to be pulled away. I thought he was going to kill him. I know he wanted to. And at that point, he just he said, "I don't know. I don't know how to deal with this guy." And he started looking for. I think he started looking for help, or just didn't know what to do. And that was part of going to New York and getting introduced to Steve Lieber and David Krebs, because he was at the end of his rope, and his health was starting to fail. So it was like, enough. I can't. I like the whole idea, but this is a little too much. So that was kind of.
How did he pass the reins to Lieber and Krebs?
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for some of those conversations. But I wasn't. I would have loved to have heard what was said and how the reins were passed. But Frank was again, his health was failing. He had cancer. He had a pretty good drinking problem of his own. Not to mention us guys. How old were we? We were young lions. We were just.
You were probably just barely 21 at the time.
Yeah, and we were party animals at that point. We were crazy. Not crazy, but it was just. It was those times. There was a lot of drinking going on, and a lot of partying, a lot of drugs. So,
all right, you're with Lieber and Krebs. How soon after that did you get signed?
It wasn't. It didn't take long. It was really. They wanted to do some showcase. They said, bring us down to New York. Put us in some venues, small venues in the city.
Kansas City. You opened up for Edgar Winter, and Johnny was there.
Yes. Yeah, we went down and opened, played the Academy of Music with Humble Pie, which was like unbelievable for me. We did the Academy of Music, and then we came back and did these like showcases at Max's, And
Did you open up for people, or was it just you guys and, 20-minute set and?
Max's, I don't remember who we played with.
Was it the New York Dolls scene?
It was very much the New York Dolls scene. They were kind of they were really making a lot of noise at that same period.
You remember any other bands around the New York bands?
No, because not really, because we weren't New York guys, and we weren't really. I wasn't a New York guy.
So you'd go down there, do it, and come right back?
Yeah, so I didn't really hang out. I didn't know a whole lot about that scene at all, and that scene was really starting to take off as well. And there was lots of.
You didn't fit right in. There was a lot of glam going on then.
It was big time glam. So we had it was kind of perfect for us because we kind of fit that mold, And we were tending to be a little more kind of glam rock at that period.
So then Clive Davis comes down.
Clive Davis came to see us at the second. We played twice, I think, for some record company people, and the second time we went down there and did another showcase at Max's. Clive Davis was there, and he was pretty blown away. He was pretty blown away by the performance, and I remember he told Steven, he goes, "You're going to be a star," and I think we all knew that,
And he mentions
Steven
it.
was always he was always such a dynamic performer, and he already looked the part, he already had the part down. He dressed the way he dressed, the way he looked, the way he performed, the music he was writing. It was all there. It's just about getting it out there for people to see.
Well, on that note, we'll skip to the third album, Toys in the Attic.
Yeah.
And that's the first album that you have a song on. And it's this song right here.
Round and Round.
Why did it take to the third album for you to have a song on it? Did you guys have so much material prior, and this was like kind of the first album where you guys had to all throw in
Certainly,
your hat in the ring, actually?
The first, yeah, that's an interesting question, John. I don't really remember having written a lot of licks or ideas
Prior to
in
that.
the prior to that period, and I was I don't know, maybe I really don't know how to describe that period, but because we worked hard when we did our first album, we didn't we wrote all of that, like, because when I joined the band, we didn't have all that stuff. We started after I joined the band. We started, and then when we got signed, it was like, shit, we need original songs.
Okay, so how'd you come up with that riff then?
I don't know. That was just
Rehearsal, or?
it's just something. I don't remember where that riff was born. It came from my adoration of extremely heavy sounding music, very kind of it's what I was hearing when I heard Zeppelin and some other I like that real sort of heavy minor power rock sort of
Riff
stuff, you
type.
know, riff rock, and I don't really remember where it was born. And we'd come, you know, we'd mess around with it in rehearsal, and I think on that album we, with Jack Douglas's influence, and we wrote some more music for it, and turned into Round and Round. An interesting song, kind of a different kind of song, but yeah, that was really my first foray into writing something in the band.
So on that note, we're gonna ask you one final question. If you wanna talk about it, what's new with you?
What's new? Well, back on the road again with Aerosmith. And I have another project that I'm working on, which we just talked about Whitford St. Holmes. Derek and I have been, you know, we've always been friends, and now we're neighbors.
In Tennessee?
In Tennessee, and so of course we're all, you know, when that happened, you know, hanging out, and part of hanging out for us means playing. So we play a lot, we do a lot of jamming around town, which is impromptu jam sessions, and that the natural progression of that was we would, you know, hey, check this out, check this out. We started writing a bunch of stuff, and we hooked up with a good friend of ours. We started building a band. So we had a good friend of ours, Charlie Anderson, bass player from Nashville, came on board, and then we started auditioning drummers, and just kind of floundering along until we brought in Troy Lucetta from Tesla. It just went like, just clicked like amazing. And at that point we had all this material, so we just got to get in the studio, because we're kind of like, what do we do now?
Right.
You know, we had to like kind of, it's kind of, you have to like put this down so you can move on.
So you were rehearsing or just jamming, and then you said, let's go.
Well, we've been writing and jamming and practicing. We practiced with a couple of different drummers, some the keyboard players and stuff, and it was just kind of going along. It was like, okay, but it was, you know, we knew, I knew it wasn't really. It's like, okay, this might work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Troy came in, it was like, it's that sort of magic that happens when you get a good band together.
Right.
You can't really describe it. You don't know why it works or why it doesn't work. But when it works, it's just like, I mean, we had literally 2 very short rehearsals with Troy, when maybe amounted to us playing maybe 4 hours together. And the next thing we did was go in the studio, and we cut 9 tracks in 2 days. And
So the
so
album,
it's just clicking,
it's pretty much done now.
firing on all cylinders. Yeah, it's pretty much, when we get off this Aerosmith tour, we go back in and finish. It's almost done. We'll go back and finish it up, and then we're taking it out on the road in November.
Are you guys headlining? You're gonna
Well, we're
support
gonna
that?
be doing our own shows. Initially, it's kind of we're going out to kind of showcase the band and get a feel, see how people respond to it, and then ideally we'd like to, you know, get an opening slot on a tour somewhere, you know, with somebody. We'll see what happens.
and then back with Aerosmith, I hope.
And then Aerosmith is planning to go out again next year. So yeah. So this would be something for me to do. It's a more creative outlet for me which makes Aerosmith even better for me.
There's, Steven's got his solo record coming out, the country record. You've got that. Joe's got a bunch of irons in the fire, so it's good to stay busy. And then, but you know that the meat and potatoes is Aerosmith, and that's your number one priority, right?
Yeah, no, it makes, it just makes, it adds.
Yeah.
It makes the Aerosmith, for me, it makes the Aerosmith thing better. Because I'm happier. You know, I have a real creative outlet. That Aerosmith's kind of creative fire was really stoking in the early days, and it's just the natural evolution of things. It kind of wanes a little bit. But you still have that desire, at least I do, to want to, you know, try and get those fires going again, you know.
Is playing live, is that what does it for you?
It's not only playing, a lot of it is the creative process. And if that turns into something, if that turns into good music, and the thing that Derek and I do is we're very adept at writing for some reason. It just comes very natural to us, and we're pretty good at it. So it's kind of fun to take, you know, nothing, an empty space, and put something in it, and it turns into something that's cool. It's really gratifying, really gratifying.
On that note, we will end this, and I'll say best of luck to you, and I will see you on stage tomorrow night.
In Victoria.
Victoria, BC.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.